Hey guys, thank you for joining us again for an exciting episode of YOML. This is the Year of Magical Learning podcast. So today we're on a brand new book. We concluded Leader Eat Last yesterday. Today we're on a brand new book. So Reflection 290 is a book that The Artist Way by
Yeah,
Julia Cameron. So
Cameron. Yeah, it's actually a pretty famous book. I was recommended this by one of my team members on my team, who is a
Clothing Light.
yeah, Chloe Light. She is an actress, went to school for acting, and she hears me all the time talk about like linchpin and bringing your art to work, and all these things. And one day she's like, "Have you ever read this book called The Artist Way by Julia Cameron?" And I was like, "No, I've never heard of it." And she was like, "We should check it out." So I did, and that's how it ended up in this list, right?
Okay.
But the book's about a spiritual path to higher creativity by Julia Cameron. I think Julia Cameron is married or was married to some like really famous actor. I can't remember, but she's like become really famous in her own right. Martin Scorsese. She was married to Martin Scorsese and wrote this book back in the like 70s or something like that, and became like a pretty popular, book in general. So it's pretty much everything we already talked about. It's about reflection, learning, finding ways to bring your
You bring
meaningful work
yourself.
out and put yourself into what you do every single day. Her morning pages is probably her biggest insight in this whole entire thing of spending time reflecting each morning and just free form writing, getting your thoughts out there, understanding who you are and who you want to be, and understanding what your voice is, and getting that clarity to bring out your meaningful work. And then she also has this thing that she does called the artist date, a dedicated block of time to nurture your inner artist. This is called First Things First Time. This is all this other stuff, which is interesting. I loved that somebody recommended this to me. This is exactly, you can call this the artist way. Now, I don't really care what you want to call it. I call art anything that is bringing your meaningful
Self-expression.
It's a meaningful self-expression that brings meaningful work out of you. That could be tennis, that could be coding, that could be sales, that could be whatever. It doesn't matter. As long as you are able to put your values and yourself into what you're doing, it just naturally is something that only you can bring out in this world and can share with the world. That's what I call art. And that's what the book Lynchpin was about that we've talked about. That's what, that's really what this is. It's the artist way, I guess, if you will. Like this is, I think, an important understanding of kind of where we're going with clubbing in general. Oh, she also says, offer guidance on starting a creative cluster of fellow artists who will support your creative endeavors. It's just kind of funny, there's so many synergies, obviously, to all this stuff. I don't think we've ever claimed that we're doing anything revolutionary, but what we are trying to do is to apply it to
I think we're doing something natural, which is not going against the grain of who you're supposed to be. You're using so much willpower to do things that for whatever reason it becomes the norms in society.
Speaking of side note, before we get talking about this today, I ended up having one of the coolest one-on-ones I've ever had with the girl that recommended this to me. We were talking about the art of running uphill today. It was almost the exact conversation that you and I had last night with her, and it was a great conversation because she's not loving what she's doing right now, even though I know she's somebody that could embrace the suck, run uphill. She's a former valedictorian of her high school.
But you put her uphill and she's killing it. Imagine what she could do if you orient her downhill, right?
Yeah. Oh, she already knows.
It's shit.
Yeah, she's always been the best.
That's what I see. You think about it, right?
No, for sure. And this is what we talked about. So I was actually like, she had this epiphany moment when I was talking to her about what's the worst grade you can get in academia. And she goes, like an F. And I go, no. And she goes, I was like, try again. She goes, I don't know. I was like, how about what's the best grade you can get? She was like, well, an A. I was like, sure. And I was like, what happens when you get an A? She was like, well, you liked what you did. You were good at it and you liked what you did and you got an A. And I was like, okay, what happens when you get a B plus or a B or something like that? She's like, well, you were pretty good at it, but it probably was something you cared about, but maybe you weren't perfect at it, but you're pretty good at it. And I go, what happens when you get an F? She was like, well, you probably just didn't try and you probably didn't care, And I was like, yeah, agreed. I was like, what happens when you get a C? And she goes, oh. She's like, I see. She was like, yeah. She's like, I know exactly what you're about to say. And I go, she was like, yeah, you're trying hard, but you suck, like you're I mean, like, and it's like, why? Like, she was like, yeah, fuck. She was like, I've always been like the best at everything I've ever done. She was like, I'm not the best at this job. And she was like, it doesn't matter how hard I try. Even when I try hard, it's like
it's trying the hardest and still suck.
I love her to death. She's awesome. Like she's an amazing cultural fit. We need to get you doing your stuff, right? But in this role, we got to find a way to either forward or to get her into what she wants to be in or not, but like either way, my point being like, this isn't about her. It was more about, how life comes together sometimes with that whole conversation of running uphill, like, yeah, you can keep trying to get C's running uphill, but why? Like, you can go read every book you want to read and try really, really hard, but you still suck. Like, I'm bad at math and academia. I just am. I mean, like, I've tried. I would be like, this is torture. I mean, I don't know why am I trying? I'm going to try just because I'm a competitive person, because that's one of my core values, is to challenge myself, whatever. I can bring out any reason why I can try to make it running downhill, but I'm really just trying to trick myself because I'm running uphill, and I'm like, let's just call a spade here. I'm running uphill. So anyway, that's a side note from the conversation from yesterday. But for this particular reflection, the reflection title is Dip into the Well of Your Experiences and Scoop Out the Visuals. I started this one off where I said, shocker, I talk a lot. And I mean, like, I talk like a lot, obviously you've known me now for many years, and
I mean, a lot.
Yeah. And I get an A+ in talking, like, I mean, that is something that I am just naturally good at.
You love it. When you get energy, I mean, you get willpower replenished when you talk.
Oh yeah.
That's who you are. You make money from talking. That is your gene. That is your skill. That is Chris Sears is.
And I don't mean, though, when I say I talk, I don't mean like I talk like, I just talk like, no, I do a lot of stuff. Like, I mean, even when I'm doing a lot of stuff, I talk. I talk when I'm playing tennis. I talk when I'm playing pickleball. I bet my opponents are probably like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? He's over there like yelling at himself, and then 5 seconds later he's like asking me about my day, and then 5 seconds after that we're shooting the shit about life or whatever, and then 5 seconds after that he's screaming fuck, like like probably like what the fuck is wrong with this guy? He's like, is he schizo over there? And I'm like, no, I just can't keep my thoughts in my head. Like, it just comes out, especially when I care about something. So it's compulsory for me. I just can't shut the fuck up. I've tried in my life. Don't get me wrong. I've tried. I think I told you about this before.
I told you can't escape who you are. You cannot pretend to be something you're not. It's torture. No, eventually, your gene is going to make you express who you are, right? And when you do that, it feels liberating.
It does, but at the same time, the funniest part about whenever I've actively tried to go on talking strikes in my life, where I try to just be like a normal human being that just, shuts up. You know what the weirdest side effect has been?
The weirdest side effect of not talking?
Yeah, not for me, but for what's been the weirdest side effect, compound effect of me not talking?
People think you're weird.
People think something's wrong with me. They're literally like, are you mad at me? Or is there something wrong? Like, and I'm like, no, I'm just not talking. Like, they're like,
yeah, there's something wrong with you. Like, I mean, definitely something wrong with you. If I know you for this long, and certainly you come into the podcast and you don't talk, right? Something is really, really wrong, because for you not to talk, it has to be very powerful enough to suppress that. When something big has to happen for you not to talk.
Yeah.
So for you to say, hey, maybe, I'm angry at my, the OB KBR meeting, whatever you can be, whatever. But you will talk. You can be say, I have a headache, but you will talk. I'm tired, but you will talk.
Dude, my ear is fucking killing me.
Your shoulder is hurting. Like you will talk. If you don't talk, something it's so seriously wrong for you to suppress that. And to me, that is what I mean when you don't talk. There's something is really, really going on. Because I have met you for the past 3 years, almost every day now, and you had gone through so many different things. Even when you were at the Nikki with Luca, right, and you were on a meeting, you will talk, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're in the NICU, and you go out to the waiting room or whatever, and you talk. And you imagine if you talk in those situations when you don't talk, right? I'm gonna have okay, I don't know what's going on here, but something's big enough for you not to talk. So super, super powerful.
You just reminded me of the 2 times I could think of when I've spoken the least in my life. One was after when Amelia passed away.
I remember that.
I just stared at the wall, and when I'd be in rooms with people, they'd be talking, and I just didn't want to engage. That's just so not me. I was in a different world, not engaging in this world around me. And then the other times that I don't want to talk. This is before this whole journey, to be honest with you too. That's when I would lose like tennis matches and stuff like that. Like I would just sit, despondent, just staring off into the world, going in my head. I'm just replaying over and over, how pissed off I am, or how frustrated I was that I just lost, or how angry I was about something. But I just wasn't talking. I would be like, don't talk to me. Like anybody that came near me, I'd be like, just don't talk to me. I can't, I don't want to communicate with anybody. But that's a whole other different animal than what I'm talking about with Amelia, obviously. But those would last for 12 hours or something like that. Those are blips on the radar. But I'm just giving an example of when I can remember me personally, just like I normally do. Anyway, so like moving back to the reflection, one of the things that I love about this journey of what we do and like the morning pages, this is where this all comes into play. Like, it should come as no shock that when I started writing these reflections, I wanted them to be more like the Daily Stoic. I wanted them to be like Ryan Holiday-esque, where they were like one paragraph. This is what I wanted, right? Like, this is a day's reflection, a thought. I read a book. Here's a thought. Take it. That was what I wanted to do. They started off nowhere near that.
Yes, I remember.
But they were like 300 to 500 words. Now, is that your voice? Are you frozen? Can you hear me? I can't hear you at all. I think your headphones might have gone out. It's like beeping. It's going like boop, boop, boop. Like, this is my reflection from yesterday. If you can still hear me, it's like, well, here, how long is it? That is, it doesn't tell me the words. I don't know. It's probably got to be like 1,000, 1,500 words or something like that. Then the day before that was really long. And the day before that was really, really long. And the day before that was really, really long. Like, I mean, look how much longer these things get. It's like these are. I can't hear you at all, actually. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? What the hell? Can you hear me? No. Where's the audio? Where's like the settings? What is happening?
Hey, folks. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Continue where we left off.
Yeah,
Where were you?
I think I was. Oh, I remember where we left off. We were talking about how when I first started writing these reflections, they were supposed to be like the Daily Stoic-esque, like a paragraph, a quick thought, about something I learned from a book and move on, right? Take a lesson and go. Well, they started off, even at the beginning, they couldn't even do that. They were like 300 to 500 words or something like that. Now they're burgeoning now. Like, even when I wrote this reflection, it was like 750 to 1,000 words. And now I feel like they're charting into like 1,000 to 1,500 word territory. Like, it just keeps getting longer and longer because I can't shut the fuck up.
I posted on YouTube, after I posted on YouTube. And the thing is, in the beginning, I was able to copy and just paste it. And now I have to copy it and modify because it's too long. YouTube won't take it.
That's hilarious.
It's getting longer and longer and longer. And in the beginning, we also have like, we finished this reflection or whatever in 15 minutes. Right. And now it goes over go to an hour. We go to 15 minutes, 45 minutes, and then an hour. And then now we can't even try to stop at an hour. We always go even 10 minutes over. Even if we try our darnest, it's still like 10 minutes or at least over an hour. Normally it's like an hour, 15 minutes. So, and it's late night. That's why we have to cut them off. So I know exactly what you're saying.
Oh yeah, you're right. I mean, even the freaking recordings have gotten longer and longer. I mean, like I just talk a lot. The point is, I talk a lot. You and I now talk a lot together, right? That's great. What I love, if we think back to the book of the 4 Agreements and the reflection title from that, it was about always being impeccable with your word, right? That's the thing with being impeccable with your word. How are you supposed to be impeccable with your word if you don't talk and try it out and figure out what you want to say and what you don't want to say, right? Like, you got to get it out in the world. You got to try this stuff. You know, you got to practice, right? Like, you got to practice all day long if you're gonna.
You
It's
cannot
not
be
gonna.
world class just by being impeccable, right? You cannot become
Right.
impeccable. I mean, you cannot have a perfect podcast until you have your first one. Your first one is gonna suck,
Right.
right? It
Yep.
will suck. Your second one will suck. Your third one will suck, right? Your 100th one, it may get better. You know, maybe a 1,000th one, you may get good at
Right.
it, become impeccable then. But no one can be impeccable without starting as like this, like cringy. It's
Yeah.
sometimes when you look at
It's
back
awful.
at the video, you say, "What
Yeah.
the fuck did I say that for?"
You're exactly right. I don't even want to look back at them, to be honest with you. I just keep looking forward. But like, nobody wakes up in the morning and, it doesn't matter. Just nobody wakes up and they're like, I know exactly what to say. I know how to condense down everything that I want to say in my head and share it with the world in such a concise, simple format that it'll be so profoundly simple that people will just understand, and I can always be impeccable with my word. That is not how it works. It takes
I mean,
time, effort, refinement.
I can do that in a very
No,
simple way. I'll show
not
you.
talk.
Now, I will give you something impeccable, like E equal MC squared.
Oh, you
That's impeccable.
yeah,
but because I stole that from somebody.
right.
I
As I
stole
said,
that
from
from a mad genius who spent his entire life not being
babbling
impeccable.
on. Right,
I
crazy
would
shit.
just say to
Yeah.
you something impeccable. There's only one reason why it's impeccable. I stole
That's
it.
That's exactly right.
When I say E equal MC squared, it's like, what does that mean? Oh.
That's such a great analogy and such an important thing to bring up. Like, the artist's way, if you will, is through trial and error and fighting and talking and sharing and perfecting and failing and learning and perfecting and talking and, slowly but surely over time, bringing that stuff out of you. So it starts to make sense. And as you try to have it make sense, bringing it out into the world, it eventually starts to make sense to other people potentially because you get better and better at talking. When we first started talking about Clubany, like, good Lord, I don't even know. You and I said it was almost comical. It was Clubany. And then you're like, what does that mean? I don't know. I still remember. Do you remember that guy, Kyle Lacey, that we talked about that was the CMO at Lessonly before he moved
Right.
and now he's at a different company altogether? I remember talking to him where I was trying to share with him, like, this is like an ecosystem for purpose-driven human beings to be able to bring their values out and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, it all sounds really cool, but like, I'm just going to be honest with you. You need to condense that down into something that people can take away, right, from it. And I go, yeah, I know, I'm working on it. But I had to explain to him the entire story of how we even got to where we got to when we talked to him, right? And to even have him understand what I was trying to say. And once again, he was like, sounds really cool, but it's a really interesting story. But like, people aren't going to have an hour to listen to the story of how we got to where we got to today every single time to want meander with us through the whole journey of, like, then we hit this thing and then we learned this and we did this and we did this and then we ended up like this and we still don't exactly know what this is. It's almost like comical how little we can describe Clubing at the beginning. Now it's pretty easy. It's focus on your values and bring them to life, right? And be around other people, do the stuff you like to do, being around other people that like to do the same stuff, and that's about it. I mean, like, meaningful work, meaningful relationships. Like, I mean, whatever. I mean, we've gotten way more impeccable with our words over the years by saying a lot of freaking words, right?
And non-essentials.
Yes, exactly. But slowly and surely over time, it starts to form something that becomes something like an art, like that we can condense down and simplify and give to somebody that says E equals MC squared. We talked about this before with other stuff, right? It's not easy. Celeb always says, what's this thing about? Anybody can understand something, but it takes a lifetime to master.
It's something about be able to write it. Right? It takes a lifetime of mastery to write it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my point being, like, equals MC squared is a great example of that, like what you brought up. But so the long story short of all this stuff is, this is the artist's way, though, is you have to keep writing, thinking, growing, reflecting, moving forward and being on that journey. Otherwise, eventually what comes out will be something that other people could consume, whether that comes out in the form of drawing, sales, marketing, mathematics, whatever, painting, writing, acting, I don't care. Whatever that comes out of you as teaching, it'll come out, though, where other people can start to see it. I wrote at the bottom of this one, my dream is one day when I wake up and I write my own morning pages, which I do every single day. And that's Amelia and I when we're writing together. Like, my dream is to be like, hey, I'm going to write like one word to myself, and it'll be like, boom, just like walk away and be like, okay, done writing for the day. Like, I'm good. I know exactly what this means,
This is what we
I don't
call
know if we'll ever get there,
the
but
criticism
yeah.
and the truism.
Right.
That's what these are. I mean,
Right.
essentially, it means. I mean, the simple phrase. It means a lot to us, and the backstory of it. A lot of the Beaver Must Dam. It's a whole,
Oh yeah.
like, I mean, it's a whole book. You can write
There's
a book
there's
from.
100 hours of conversations behind it, like, yes, there is a whole book behind it. Yeah, you're right. A whole book behind a Beaver Must Dam.
Yeah, so it's really, but the thing is, we cannot get to the point where we say, "Hey, Beaver Must Dam," and be impactful. No one can get there unless you can bump around in the places where you can gather pieces of information
Right.
before you can kind of put them together in something that's understandable by you and then also by the other people that you express this to. And so, as an artist, there is not going to be a way for you to go from nothing to impeccable. It has to be okay. You progress, you discover, you learn, you make it better, and you get to the point where the E equals MC squared. Because no one can
Yep.
say, well, I just woke up and I just thought of E equals MC squared. You
Right.
think about
Doesn't
how
happen.
absurd that
Impossible.
is, right?
Yeah.
Just
It's
take
impossible.
that to be as simplistic as we can say to you. So be an artist, right? It's about you doing things that you want to do. It's about the effort and the actions you put into the effort that it aligns to your core value. Eventually, it will get to a point where you can explain it. And when you can
Right.
explain it, you become a master at whatever that subject matter is. And that's the point of being an artist. And so you can't really be afraid to start. Do what you want to do what you enjoy doing, and eventually you will get to a place where you can say something. And we're talking about being impeccable with your words. You cannot get there until you have toil with all the little things that you need, the nuances. You cannot understand all the nuances and overcome them and have solution for them and orchestrate them into this one word sentence that means succinctly what you want to express. You think about
Right.
it, that is a mastery. That is the world class at what you do.
Well, I mean, it's like The Alchemist. You go travel around the world, you go learn everything, and then you come back and you have this profound insight of like, oh, it was here all along. Well, but you didn't know that. Like, you had to go travel the whole world. You had to go be in the shit. You had to go down in the Valley of Florida. You had to go learn and explore to go, oh, duh. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it takes time. It just takes time. I mean, you got to keep exploring and keep like like we talked about this yesterday. Like, I was showing you what I was writing. You said I still haven't found what I'm looking for, and I agree. Like, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. I'll keep talking until I fucking find it. And probably won't stop until I'm dead. Because I'll probably never find it. But that's okay. That's the fun of it, though.
But I think that's the point. Is like I said, the point of human beings is we're not meant to get to a certain destination. We are made to continue to move because we always want to discover and explore. That is built into our genes. Whatever you do, like let's say I say, well, I found something impeccable, E equals MC squared. It means nothing to me. The only thing I can know about that, hey, is some letters and some some equal sign. That's all I know about it. It has nothing to me. But
Right.
the guy who actually gets to that point probably enjoy and understand that tremendously because that's
Yeah.
give him the rewarding of him discovering the next step and next step. And so for us as human beings, we inherit the same gene is the exploration and discovery. That's why when you have when you think about, let's say you have a body of water that is never moved, it's stagnant. What happened to the body of water? It becomes stale and becomes like yucky. It's gross.
Yeah.
And so our minds do the same thing. Like
Toxic.
when
I mean,
it's
yeah,
toxic
toxic.
because we cannot survive in that environment. Because
Right.
for even for what I told you before is our eyes it always have this micro movement where it's twitching like this. It is so that you don't just your images start to disappear and become black if your eyes doesn't move. You try that one
Right.
day, and that's what we do. And our brains works in the same way. Is we have to continue to have this delta, the potential from one to the next. Right? We go up and down like this. That's why we have to have that more of like a sine wave, right? Up and down, up and down. For us to understand, like that, we need to be moving, then we need to be alive. Otherwise, we just can't survive in the environment that is that is static, that is, stale. It's just not what we are made to survive in. So for us, it's always about discovery. You have to learn, because let's say you do pickleball and you learn everything there's to learn and you're the best of everything. You become so bored out of your life because you have no one to play with, or you can't learn anything new, right? You become so bored with it because there's nothing newness comes to your brain. Your brain starts to shut down. It doesn't.
It does.
It doesn't activate. It doesn't fire these neurons anymore.
The
neurons only fire when there's a potential. There's something that you need to discover, to explore, to do. So that's why people have dementia. They have Alzheimer. It's because their brains are not in a place where they are taking neuron pathway, right? So when you have neuron pathway, it creates this connection. Right. One other thing that I found out in my studies is that when you exercise, you physically, you generate neurons, right?
You don't generate. You do generate neurons, but then you generate myelin that like insulates them and wraps them all up.
And so the second step is that you generate this neuron when you exercise. Okay. In order for you to keep them, you have to create the myelin. The myelin is what connects you to the other neuron. The connection only happens when you learn something. In order for you to keep your neurons, you have to connect them. If you exercise, you build neurons. If you don't connect them, it goes away. You connect them, you get to keep them. So that's what I'm saying is discovery is what makes our brain stays continue to regenerate.
1,000%. Like, I mean, it's novelty unfolds time, monotony compresses it. Yesterday, I couldn't play pickleball or tennis because it was raining out all day. The entire day it was fucking raining. I wasn't going to go book indoor court time. It's the middle of summer, and my monthly challenge is 30 minutes of pickleball or whatever. But I had that backup option of being bored for 10 minutes. This is no joke. I went and sat down in my bed, 10 minutes, stared at the ceiling. Within 5 minutes, I was asleep. I couldn't keep my fucking eyes open. It happened again. I was so bored. The monotony, collapse time so much where I was like, I just got to sleep. I literally took a nap.
Your brain shuts down.
It just shut down. It was almost like mind-blowing to me how quickly I could exhaust my brain by trying to not think about stuff. It was more exhausting not thinking about something. Anytime a thought would come in, I'd be like, no, you can't think about that right now. Like, just let it go. Just be bored. Then the thought would come in, I'd be like, no, you can't think about that right now. You just let it go. It was like I was refusing to like focus on anything. Like in meditation when you like kick thoughts out and you're like, no, I'm going to go back to my breathing. It's like, we're going to focus on this one thing. And it's like, okay, a thought comes in, you're like, kick it out, focus on your breathing. No, when I kicked out the thought, I was left with no thoughts. Like I was left with nothing to focus on. Like, so when a thought would come in and I would kick it out, be like, well, what do you want me to do? And my brain's like going, well, I guess we'll just sleep. I don't know. I guess we'll just go to bed. And I was like, I was actively telling my brain, don't do anything right now. And it just shut down in like 5 minutes. It was like, I'm bored.
I didn't sleep for like 16 hours. I'm on the road. I get roused to sleep in like 20 minutes. It's the oozing sound and the unchanging of the scenery, especially when you drive. When you drive to West Texas, it's just brown grass. It never ends. There's no changes in scenery. That hypnotizes your brain to go to sleep. So for me, I cannot drive long distances for some reason. And most people brains are wired like this. And I think there's different levels, but everybody has the same gene. Is you have to have this novelty. If there's no novelty, you can't really survive because your brain doesn't continue to regenerate. You always have to replace the old cells, right? The old neurons. You're going to become dementia, or you become.
You just made me think of something really weird. My grandfather died when I was 3. He was in his mid-40s when he passed away. My grandma had my mom when she was really young. She was the oldest. My mom had my sister and me when she was like in her early 20s. So like them being like 45 years old wasn't weird or anything like that. Like my grandfather was 45 when he passed away, and I was only like 3 years old. So I never really knew him, never really whatever. My grandmother got remarried about, I want to say maybe when I was 10. So maybe like 7 years later or whatever, met this guy named Don, and she remarried him. He was a really nice guy. He was a runner. He ran like 5 miles every single day, whatever. But he was narcoleptic. And it made me just think about this. Like he would just fall asleep. Like he was narcoleptic. Not too long after when I heard that, when I first met him, my grandmother told me, she was like, Don's narcoleptic, and I'm like, what does that mean? Like, like he just falls asleep. Like, how does that happen? Like, you just sitting in a chair and you just pass out, or you're at dinner and you're eating food and you just fall asleep. I was like, I don't understand. So I never really saw him just pass out, but what ended up happening to Don, my grandfather, my step grandfather? Nope. He died of Alzheimer's about 15 years after they got remarried. When my grandmother was in her early 50s, I think, when they got remarried.
Oh, really?
I think Don passed away when he was like 65. So like the narcolepsy, like you just said, his brain was dying. I had this weird aha moment when you just said that. He was narcoleptic, then he got Alzheimer's. His brain was shutting down, like it was like when you get bored, it just keeps shutting down. I mean, I'm not saying he was bored, but I'm saying there was something
his brain is not regenerating. He's not generating.
Right.
In my studies, I have discovered that the only two ways, there's two steps. You have to exercise and you have to learn something. That is to keep your brain healthy. You cannot have one way or the other, right? You can say, well, I can learn something, but it won't hold because your older neurons have to be recycled. But without exercise, you won't generate new neurons. But if you exercise, but you don't learn anything, your brain isn't going to keep that neuron.
Worthless. Yeah.
So the thing is, it's two of those things that you have to have, right? One of the acronyms for a good health regimen it's called SHIELD. The first is called S. S stands for sleep. You have to sleep. Okay, that's the first and the most important thing. That's why I advocate the sleep book. Why we sleep book. The second one is handle stress. You cannot stress yourself. That means that whatever you do, don't go up here. The I in SHIELD is called interaction. It's like you mean talking.
Wait, we need to revise the art of running uphill. Because sometimes you run uphill to run downhill. You run uphill to run downhill. And that's okay. You can strategically pick hills to run up and down.
Stress.
But yes,
whatever up here for you.
We're talking uphill with no downhill. We're talking about a hill that never ends is what we're talking about when we say running uphill.
The hill that doesn't have any value for you.
No, just the hill that never ends. The hill that never ends is what we're talking about. Like that is what
I agree with that.
Because,
I agree with that.
Because sometimes you want to run up a hill to run down a hill. I don't mind adversity to learn and fail and grow and whatever, but I'm going up and down a hill. I get to reap the rewards of going down the hill when I go up a hill. But if I go up a hill, it only goes up.
That's where to me, I somewhat agree with you, but somewhat I don't, because it's a very general range of what we mean when we say up a hill. Because for example, you say, hey, let's eat the frog, so I eat 2 cakes. Like, I'm not gonna eat a frog to eat 2 cakes. I'm gonna figure out how to eat the cake, right? So there are ways to get to the reward. If I have to eat a frog because of something, I'll eat the frog for that. But if I can find other ways to eat the cake without having to eat the frog first, then I will do that. But like I say, it's not because the thing is,
agreed.
If there are ways for me that I can find ways for me to eat the cake without eating the frog, I will find those ways. But if there's absolutely no other way, but I needed something beyond that, and I want that more than the enduring the pain of eating the frog, I will eat the frog, right? So that I can get to what I want. So yes, in that case, my alignment with my core value, it's still valid because I still want whatever that, let's say I'm a beaver and I need to build a dam, right? And for me to go and chew down some trees and roots and whatever, then I will do that to build a dam.
Right.
And so to me, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. I agree.
But that's what I'm saying with your words, right?
Yes, I agree.
It's got meaningful relationship. Okay, meaningful relationship. Because the thing is, you have to do things because you can't learn anything without interacting. You can learn some stuff, but you cannot learn more, because I say if you learn something by yourself, right, that is probably like maybe 20%. If you can talk to somebody, it's going to increase you to 80%.
Oh,
because when you talk exponentially, the E, so interaction, you need to have interaction. Interaction is like the meaningful relationship we talk about. E is for exercise, right?
Yeah.
The exercise is what generate new cells, right? And so that to me, that's why we exercise, we read, right? We do all that in company. This is why we get to the point where life seems pretty good.
Did you make this up? Did you make this acronym up?
No, I didn't make it.
Right. Yeah, I gotcha.
And the L, guess what L is for?
Learn.
Exactly. learn something novel.
Right.
It doesn't matter what it is, as long as you are interested in it.
Right.
It will hold. Because when you learn something, hey, oh, that sounds cool. That's interesting, right? It's cool, and then you can talk. That's why I go back to the I, right? You learn something,
Right.
you bring
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
back to the I. Just like when you read the book, right? You write this reflection, you go back and you talk to me, and we remember that, and then you take that, and then you go and you talk to your one-on-one, right? It increases the learning.
Exactly.
It goes exponentially. D is for diet, right? Diet is basically for. It's like you have to
eat healthy. Yeah, you
have to
fuel the
eat
body,
things,
right? You know?
to eat things that your body it needs versus eating that it's bad for your body. So
Right.
if you can do those things every single day, you will have a healthy life. You don't won't have dementia. You don't have other issues.
Well,
Because
in theory.
well, the thing is you're gonna optimize.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you're gonna live forever, because I mean, you know, it's one of those things where we have stressors in the environment that makes us, you know, not, you know, survive more than 100 years. But essentially, that's gonna optimize you, because I told you the exercise, right, and the learning, that is for the brain. The brain needs it. Without those two, the core component of the brain.
And your body
needs it
muscles,
too.
and
Your body
I mean,
needs it too, right?
Well, this goes back to, if you don't use it, you lose it. I mean, we've talked about this before. Like, it's, if you can be a donkey in a shed, but that is not protecting anybody. Like, if you don't use it, you lose it. You know, like, you literally the Sherman lost his hoofs. You know, he's about ready to die. He lost his purpose. Like, if you don't use it, you lose it. I mean, it's true. Like, I mean, so you have to exercise. You have to do. I agree with everything you said across the board. I don't think there's anything I would even add to that, which other than maybe reflect. Like, because you need to think. I think you need time to step back, you know, and think. So I don't know where that comes into play in that whole equation.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, there's probably more. I mean,
Right.
than the acronym, but I think the acronym is the basic
It's pretty
necessity
solid.
you have to have.
Right.
So have that, have
Community.
have the shield, and then you can add other stuff to it. And then, you know, shield this and shield whatever.
Right.
But shield is a minimum. I say it's a minimum. So a lot of people, right? A lot of people forgo sleeping. To me, that is the worst mistake that I've ever made in my life, because I did that in the beginning. That's what makes my health deteriorate, because I do all-nighters, and I sleep every other days, and I drink and Red Bull. So I violate the S and the D a lot of times. And then my diet was bad, and my S was bad, and then that goes into the stress, right? And then it goes into like, hey, no interaction, and then the exercise and all that becomes. So the S and the D is super important, right? To me, those two letters, those are cornerstone of your health. If you can practice those two, you are probably like winning 50% of the battle already.
And it's like the compound effect. I mean, it really is. Like, you do the right stuff, and it all. A friend of mine yesterday sent me or it wasn't yesterday, it was Sunday. He sent me this text saying, "Hey, you should watch this Chris Hemsworth, you know, the Thor, something he did for Netflix called Limitless." And he was like, "Chris, I feel like this is like half of your life at this point in time." And I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, what are you referring to?" And he goes, "Well, he's like super into like longevity. He's trying to figure out how to do things like cold showers and controlled breathing and fasting and all this other stuff, you know." And that's what he's exploring in this series on Netflix. And my first question back to him via text was like, "Okay, it sounds interesting, but why is he doing it?" And he goes, "Well, it's about longevity. It's about living a long life." And I was like, "Well, that's not why I do it." Like, I was like, that has nothing to do with that at all. It's pure curiosity for me. It's pure trying to find ways to connect with my daughter. You know, like, it has fucking nothing to do with me wanting to live. I was like, my literal response back to him was, you know, everybody's going to die anyway. Like, I'm not worried about longevity. Like, I'm worried about having a really exciting, happy life that I can be proud of to share with my daughter, you know, every single day of my life, you know. And I don't mean this to be like, great, I still do similar stuff these days, right? And that's fine. But like, I'm not doing it for any other purpose other than my own purpose, right? Like, it's not about some quest to be around when I'm 120 or something like that, or to unlock new things of human potential. I can give two fucking shits about that. Like, I really do. Like, it's just about entertaining myself and having fun, you know, and being the most human I can be, you know what I mean? Like, every day, because my daughter didn't get a chance to do that, and I feel like that's the only time I can connect with her. So that is what it is, right? I thought it was very interesting because there's so many things these days on social media, and, you know, people like Chris Hemsworth putting stuff out there. Like, it's not about longevity. I mean, who cares? Like, I don't give a shit how long.
It's about that. It's about
are
you enjoying the life you have, right?
Yeah.
When you think about the word shield, right? Every single letter in it, it is a positive for me. When I sleep, I like it. Do you hate sleep? Right?
No, I love sleep.
Yeah. Right? Do you not want to have stress?
I don't want to have stress.
Exactly.
I like
that. Do you feel good when you exercise?
I don't know, good, but I definitely feel not bad.
Exactly. It's not something you do because thing is, I'm not asking you to go and huffing and puffing. I'm saying, hey,
Right.
go play tennis, go swimming,
Yeah.
do whatever
Move your
thing,
body. Yeah.
right? So the thing is, every single letter that I'm saying, like, learn. I said, don't learn physics if you hate physics. Learn something
Right.
like you wanna learn how to play better ping pong or pickleball. Learn those. Or
Right.
the like diet, right? Oh, that means strictly your diet. No, I'm not saying strictly your diet. Say find quality food that is good to taste good,
Right.
and it's also good for your body. So all the letters of chill is actually what I want to do. It's not something I have to do. Oh, I'm gonna do cold shower. If you
Right.
love cold shower, that's fine. But if you don't like cold shower,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so it's about longevity, but longevity doesn't have to be
It matter in the moment. Longevity doesn't. Nobody gives a shit about if I'm 110.
if it's only for short term, because
Right.
longevity
Right.
is
Yeah.
sustainability. If you cannot
Right.
sustain it, then longevity is out the window. So whatever
Exactly.
you do has to be something that you like to do and looking forward to do. Now, imagine you eating bad food, right? You feel like bad afterward.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I
so
feel awful.
you feel awful. But if you eat good food, it tastes good. So for me, is I'm in this more like a keto and carnivore diet. Like I eat like ribeye steaks all day long. Right? You think
Right.
about it, right? But I love ribeyes. If you don't like
It's
ribeye, eat
enjoyable. Yeah.
whatever your
Right.
body agrees with. I'm not
Yep.
asking you to endure and go up here for anything, right? Interaction. Am I going to interact with people that it's going to be like toxic to me? No, I'm going to interact with people that I like, because they think about it. If I interact with people that it doesn't align with what I say, right? I'm going to create the stress, right? And it's going to
Right.
throw away the H and handle the stress. So all
Yep.
the thing you do has to align with, is it something you enjoy doing? If it
I agree.
doesn't,
Yeah.
longevity isn't in the results.
I
So
agree. And it's not sustainable either. What time is it?
it's 10.
Okay. All right. We got to cut this off. I can't even read the bottom of what is the question? I can't even see it now.
The question say, how are you working to share what is inside of you with the world?
Okay, well, there you go. So that's the question we could leave with everybody. Like we got a good book. The actual title, the reflection of scoop out the what does it say? It
Dip
says,
into the well of
dip into the well of
experiences and scoop out the visuals.
like it's go deep, figure out what you're trying to say, and keep trying to figure that out until you can create a picture that somebody else can fucking understand. I don't care how you create that picture. Create that damn picture with your words, with your writing, with your drawing, with whatever, right? How do you take what's inside of your head and share it with other people where they can freaking understand?
Just imagine you are the world-class ChatGPT, okay? You have to understand that
Yes.
you are the ultimate AI, okay? If you can give AI all these informations and data points, and it can give you, like, in the end, some analysis, you are 1,000 times more than that ChatGPT. If you're
For sure.
impressed by ChatGPT and you don't impress by yourself, there's
Yeah,
something
you're an
really
idiot.
wrong with you.
That's a
You
great
are
point, man.
fucking
That's
idiot.
that's
You
a
think
great
about
point.
that,
Yeah.
right? So use yourself as this AI. You are
The
AI
prompt.
created
You are the
by
prompt.
God,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
All you have to do is give yourself the information as if you give
Yes.
ChatGPT. You will automatically going to create
Yes.
patterns better than ChatGPT will ever will. Okay, so do not sell yourself short. Be the artist that is inside you. Express who you are.
Yes. That's so good, man. Like, I agree. That's such a good metaphor and a visual to remind yourself of, like, just give yourself the right prompts, right? But to give yourself the right prompts takes heart. It takes time to prompt yourself the right question, the right prompt, just like you would have to do with ChatGPT.
I mean, that's the
or
thing,
whatever,
is you keep asking
Yeah.
ChatGPT this question, that question.
Right. Yeah. Spend some time, figure it out, talk it out, think about it, use your morning pages, use whatever the fuck else you want to do. But, like, you prompt your goddamn self. I agree. Figure out what's important for you. That's a good way to end it. All right. Well, thanks for sharing, True. That was awesome. Thanks for joining, everyone.
Sometimes